Good morning, everybody. How are you doing today? Finally got my voice back for the most part, and hopefully more and more videos will be coming on their way. I've gone through all the ones that I had in reserve because I was without a voice for about a month. So, different way to start the video today, just letting the dogs out, switching them out. So, here we go, we got the bulldog going out. And the schnauzer's coming in. I got 3 dogs, and 2 of them are alpha females and don't really get along, so every now and again they decide to fight. It's been about 2 years, but the other day they decided to go at it again, but back to being separated. Alright, so today is going to be, like I said, a little bit of a different video. But before we get that going, let's get into the car. Like I said, today's video is going to be a little bit different. This is basically going to be a reshoot of an earlier video that I did, talking about the Camaro and why it broke and the motor blew. Now, if you've already watched that video, please don't leave yet. I've got a couple other things that I'm going to talk about on the video as well. But the reason why I had to reshoot the video is because I was using music from a fellow YouTuber called Frog Leap Studios, and I used his music, and then later on he decided to take that back and not allow anyone to use his music, so he was starting to monetize on my videos. So all the time I spent on the videos, he was now getting the money for. Again, I've only made $6, so I haven't even gotten a check yet. But it was sort of aggravating to me because he did give people permission to use his songs and then went back on that. End on rant. That's over. Let's get into the video. So those of you that may have not seen my video on the Camaro motor blowing up, I had a 2016 Camaro 1SS with the LT1 motor in it. And you know what? I enjoyed that car so much. It was just so much fun. It brought me back to my first car, which was a Camaro. And here are some of the pictures. funny sound in the front end, like a rattling noise, if you will. And I didn't notice at first what it was. I thought it was my front license plate that I had to zip tie on, because I had removed the front license plate and then for the first time in like 15 years had gotten pulled over for no front license plate. So I decided to put it on. Excuse me, my son's babbling in the back. We're going to drop him off at school. So here I go. We put it on, and I think that it's rattling. Then one day I actually ended up having to go to the doctor's, and my doctor happens to be about 70 miles away from my house. I moved, and I didn't want to change my doctor, so I decided to stick with him. And on my way there, the Camaro is rattling a little bit louder than normal, so I actually have my windows down, and I'm looking around, and people are actually looking at me. So I make it about 65-ish miles, and then I get off the highway to go toward them, and then I notice that it's making a lot louder of a noise. It literally sounds like trash can. You know, put aluminum cans in a trash can, start shaking it up, and that's what was coming from the front end of the car. And so I was getting nervous. I'm like, oh, that's a new sound. So as I start to go, I feel like it's taking a lot more to get the car moving. You know, I basically have to put my foot to the floor and dump the clutch to get the car moving. And as we're going down the road, the sound gets louder and louder. It came to another stop. Almost couldn't get the car to go again. And I was starting to get really nervous because it was heavy traffic, middle of the day. And then come to another stop sign at a red light at a rotary, and then the car dies, shuts off, does not want to stay on. The car is like jostling around ridiculously, can't even get it to stay running. Couldn't get it started, so I sat there about ready to give it a push, but I decided to try one more time. I literally put my foot to the floor, started it. It started, I don't know how, but it started. Dumped the clutch, and I start creeping through the intersection. Thankfully, there was no one coming. As the light turned red, I just barely managed to get onto the rotary, over a highway, into the breakdown lane. And there I sat. And then the whole process from when I died to when I got home was 8 hours. 8 hours, not fun, did not enjoy it. Got it towed to the dealership up in Nashua, which is where I did not want to go because I wanted to go to my dealership back home. But Chevy says, well, you know what, sorry, we'll do it within 50 miles, but that's 54 miles, so you have to go to the closest dealership. Well, that dealership was 80 miles from my house. I did not want to go there because, you know, as for my car, as it's, you know, braking, I can't just go down and take a look and see how it is. The other dealership that was in Gardner where I bought the car was only 15-20 minutes away. And so that was much better for me. Now, Chevy says, well, it's not their problem. Not their problem that my motor blew at 3,034 miles. You think that you get a brand new car. Yes, brand new cars have warranties. Yes, it was the first year of the new production model, but that motor had been around for a little while. It was already in the Stingrays. You know what I mean? You think that they would have figured out all the little kinks and whatnot. So that dealership says it's going to be 3 weeks before they can even look at it. And then I managed to get my mother's AAA trip to tow it all the way back to my dealership. And then on that, they take a look at it and they see that there's metal chunks in the oil pan app when they took the oil pan off, and it was ridiculous. So another week goes by until their engine builder gets off building another motor and starts on my car. And they were great. Salvador Chevrolet was awesome. They did everything they could for me. Like, the dealership was incredible. So they fixed the motor, so the lower crank bearing went. That's what it was. It broke and destroyed several things on the bottom end. So what they did was they rebuilt the motor from bottom to top. I had a laundry list this long. They replaced The total bill came up to $7,800 to rebuild that motor. And I asked, why not didn't you just give me the motor? And they said, well, Chevy wouldn't approve it. He probably could have gotten it done if he fought hard enough, but he wanted to leave it a numbers matching car. Great. That's cool. I understand. It helps keep it the value. Let's say these cars, become collector's items in 40 years. So it makes sense. He was thinking 40 years down the road. I was not. So I get the car back. Now it's late November. 2 days later, it starts snowing. I put the car away. And we had a nice week. All the snow basically melted away. I decided to drive the car. And I noticed that it was acting funny. And it had a little weird tick. Couldn't figure out what it is. Brought it to the dealership. And they checked it out. It wasn't ticking when they got it. We tried to make it do it. It wasn't doing it. I drive home, and the ticking started again, and it's dark. I actually managed to get this on video. So the spark plugs were arcing off the headers. So I ended up, it snows again, so it's another month before I get the car back. So now we're in late January, early February, forget the timeline a little bit. And they find that there's a cracked spark plug. They change the cracked spark plug out. Everything's all well and good, right? Wrong. Now the car is lugging on me. So at least that's what the guy at the dealership said, that the engine builder, the same guy that redid the motor, that the car was lugging the gear. If I was too high in the gear and it was starting to do this, it didn't feel like that was the problem. So they went in there and they checked again, and the lower crank sensor was gone. So they had to replace that and then retune everything. So I get the car back, it feels great. I get home, and then here we are, another month goes by, now we're in March. And once you get into March, the snow starts to go away, nicer weather comes out. I decide to take the car out. So I don't really drive the car during the week too much, because I don't really go far. I use my daily driver, one of my other 3 daily drivers, to go to work, which is 4 miles from my house. So I drive the car on Sunday. I take the car to my mother's to go pick up my son, because he goes there for the weekends. And on the way home, it sort of goes into a limp mode. It's not shifting properly. It doesn't feel right. That's the engine power is gone. Basically, when you slowly let off the clutch, it feels like it's dumping. So from that, the car, it does that literally once a week for the next month and a half. So I drove the car on Sunday, brought it back to him Sunday night. I would get the car back on Friday, drive the car again on Sunday, and then it would do it again. So they replaced that lower sensor each time, because it broke several times. After the third time, they found a frayed wiring harness, and changed that. And the fourth time, they decide that they're going to change out the ECU. And then they change the ECU, and it still doesn't. And it's continuing to do it. They have not fixed the problem. So I get sick of it. I deal with Chevy, and they says, it's a new car. It happens. Tough luck. In so many words. That's a shorter version. I was very unhappy with the way I was treated by the woman on the helpline, because there was no help from her in any way, shape, or form. And they were going to go another 3 months before they would even consider doing a buyback on the car. And I wanted to get my YouTube channel up and running. I wanted to drive my sports car that I just spent $34,000 on. It's not fair. I should be able to get into my car and drive away and enjoy it, because that car was built to be beat on. It was a great car when it drove properly. But if you watch the update video that I did on the car, the new owners are having the same issues, and it still has not been fixed. And that's just not right. So, Chevy, like I said back in that video, please fix this car. It's a great car. Swap out the motor, swap out all the electrical system, the wiring harnesses, the ECU. Start fresh. It deserves it. So, well, that's the end of this video. I do appreciate you taking the time to listen again. Hopefully I did a little bit better of a job explaining things. Well, as always, thank you. Likes, comments, shares, always appreciated. Any questions, put them in the comment box below. And until next time, be well, stay safe.